I buried my daughter 5 years ago. The coffin was sealed. They told me, don't look. It'll haunt you for the rest of your life. I believed them. I signed the papers. I let them take her away. And that was that. After the funeral, her husband Evan stood at my door, eyes red, a stack of documents in his hands. Dad, I'm doing my best for Sophie. I just need your help. $30,000 a year. Tuition, rent, therapy. I don't want her to lose both her mother and her future. I looked at Sophie, my granddaughter, so small, so quiet, clinging to his shirt like she might fall into a void. So I paid, every year, on time, never missed once. I told myself, money can be earned again, but a child's childhood can't. Until yesterday, Sophie sat across from me in the park. No ice cream, no smile. She looked at me like an adult, then asked a question that froze my blood. Oh, Grandpa, if Mom is dead, then why is she still alive? I laughed instinctively, thinking she was confused, but Sophie shook her head, her voice trembling. I saw Mom on Dad's phone. He called her Mia, and she answered. In that moment, everything I had believed for 5 years began to crack like glass. For 5 years, I lived like a machine, opening the shop at dawn, closing it at dusk, then coming home to a kitchen as silent as a grave. Mia's photo still hung there. Her smile felt like an accusation, because I had accepted her death, without ever asking the one question that mattered. Where was the proof? Evan, on the other hand, lived like a man entitled to grief. Every year, right at the start of January, he'd send an email, a few lines about how hard things were. Never real invoices, never medical records, just clean, polished numbers neat enough for a grieving old man to hit transfer without thinking. I even had one rule: no cash. Evan agreed immediately. Bank transfer is easier, more transparent. It sounded like music to my ears. So I sent it. $30,000 a year. Like paying taxes. And what did I get in return? A few rushed photos of Sophie. A short phone call on holidays. And, little by little, fewer chances to see her in person. Evan always had a reason. Extra classes. Therapy. She can't sleep. You being here will only make her miss her mother more. But last night, after Sophie's question, I went back and reread every single email. And for the first time, I saw something terrifying. Evan wasn't just asking for money. He was controlling the story. So I would never ask the question that actually mattered. I couldn't sleep. Sophie's words kept echoing in my head like a hammer against bone. Why is Mom still alive? The next morning, I did something I had avoided for 5 years. Like a disease. I asked directly. I picked Sophie up after school, took her out for cake, and spoke as gently as I could. Sophie, tell Grandpa clearly. Where did you see Mom? She looked around, then leaned in close like she was afraid there were cameras in the sky. On Dad's phone. One time he fell asleep, and the screen lit up. I saw the name Mia. I saw a picture, someone wearing a hat and glasses, but I know it was Mom. I forced my voice to stay steady. Are you sure? Sophie nodded hard, her eyes red. I heard Dad say, I already sent the money to the old man. And then the person said, don't let the girl find out. And that was the moment a chill ran down my spine, because that's not something an innocent person says. That's the voice of someone hiding a secret worth money. I didn't ask Sophie anything else. Children shouldn't be dragged into the mud of adult lies. I just held her and said firmly, listen to Grandpa. From now on, don't go through your dad's phone again. If he asks, say you forgot. When I got home, I opened my laptop and pulled up 5 years of bank transfers. I didn't look at the money anymore. I looked at the pattern, and that's when I saw it. Evan always sent his emails on the exact same day, at the exact same time, like a machine. Because he wasn't asking for money, he was controlling my heartbeat, using my fear of losing my granddaughter. I picked up the phone and called the only person I trusted, a lawyer. "I need the truth," I said, "and I don't want him to have time to erase anything." No warning. I wanted to see how he reacted without time to put on his mask. He opened the door just a crack, barely enough to show his face. He stood there like a guard protecting a vault. His smile was still the perfect son-in-law kind, but his eyes weren't. "What brings you here, Dad?" I tried to look past him. Sophie was on the couch, shoulders hunched, clutching a pillow like armor. She looked at me for a second, then immediately looked down. Not shy. Afraid. I didn't play games. "I want to take Sophie out for dinner. I miss my granddaughter." Evan sighed, like I was a burden. "Not today. She has therapy. You showing up like this will only upset her." I frowned. "Therapy where?" "Show me the appointment." He froze just half a second, but that was enough. Then he switched tactics instantly. "Dad, doing this means you don't trust me." Right then, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, turned away too quickly. When he faced me again, his voice turned smooth as butter. "Oh, while you're here, I should mention, this year Sophie's expenses are higher. Tuition, living costs. Could you transfer it a bit early? Same as always, 30,000. I looked at him, then at Sophie. She bit her lip, eyes red like she wanted to say something but didn't dare. I nodded, but in my head, one sentence locked into place. He's not asking for money. He's buying silence. That night, I didn't send the money. For the first time in 5 years, I made Evan wait. And just like I expected, the messages started flooding in, not asking about Sophie, but asking about the money, like a debt collector. The next morning, I met Sophie at the park. I didn't ask her to repeat the part about her mother being alive. I just said gently, "If you can." Sophie glanced around, then quietly pulled an old phone from her pocket. "I took it when Dad was changing. I can't unlock it, but I took pictures." She opened the gallery. On the screen was a photo she had snapped in secret. A missed FaceTime call. The name hit me like a slap. Mia. My throat went dry. But Sophie wasn't done. She swiped to another image. A notification message. Cut off at the top, but still clear enough. "Did you receive the money yet? Don't let the girl find out. Stick to the plan." I checked the timestamp. It matched exactly the day I sent 30,000 last year. My hand tightened until it went pale. If this was a scam, it wasn't a one-time lie. It was a system, a script. And Evan wasn't just taking my money. He was using that little girl as leverage to protect a secret named Mia. I crouched down to Sophie's eye level, my voice firm as steel. "You did the right thing telling me. From now on, don't touch his phone again. I'll handle everything." Then I stood up and called my lawyer. "I have evidence now," I said. "Next step, we drag the truth into the light." I met Dana, my family lawyer, a woman who doesn't deal in feelings. She studied the screenshots, MIA. The messages then, set them down on the table like she was placing a knife. "Frank, this is enough to raise suspicion, but it's not enough to finish him." I swallowed. "What do I need?" Dana held up 3 fingers, her voice precise. "First, documents. If Mia is truly dead, there must be a death certificate, hospital records, funeral home paperwork. You need official copies, not stories Evan tells. Second, money trail. 30,000 a year. Where did it go? Did Evan spend it on Sophie or funnel it somewhere else? We need bank statements, transfer history, and if necessary, we subpoena the bank. Third, words. Evan needs to contradict himself. All it takes is one statement, him claiming Mia is dead while she's clearly alive. and the court will see him for what he is: manipulative, deceptive. I exhaled slowly. So what do I do right now? Dana looked straight at me. You don't confront him. You don't lose your temper. You act normal, so he stays careless. And you protect Sophie. Right then, my phone buzzed. A message from Evan. Dad, can you transfer the money? I need it urgently. Dana smirked. He doesn't need it urgently. He's afraid you've woken up. I typed a reply bait. Simple enough for him to bite. I'm arranging it. Let's meet this weekend. I want to talk about Sophie's future. I locked the screen and looked at Dana. What now? She tapped the table once. Now. We start dragging that fake funeral into court. Dana wouldn't let me go chasing Mia right away. She told me, if you want to win, you need a trail, not a feeling. So that night, I followed the plan exactly. I let Evan expose himself. I texted him, I'll send the money. But I want to pay part of it directly to Sophie's care provider. I need the name of the place, the phone number, and the address. The message showed seen. 10 minutes passed. No reply. Then Evan called. His voice was sweet as honey. But underneath it I could hear the panic. Dad, that just makes things complicated. I can handle it. You can just transfer it like you always do. I played dumb. I'm an old man. I like things clear. What's the problem? That was when Evan's tone started to crack. So you don't trust me? If you do this, it's going to affect Sophie emotionally. I almost laughed. He always played the same card. Sophie. After the call, Dana sent me a link to the state's public records search. She had already done that part for me. And then the second clue dropped like a nail into a coffin. There was no properly updated death record for Mia in the public system. Only one vague entry, missing, key verification details. And there was a rental transaction under a variation of Mia's name. Different last name, different middle name, in an area less than 40 minutes from Evan's house. I stared at that address. My heart pounding. Dana texted me one sentence. Don't conclude yet. But it's enough to watch. I sat there in silence. My hand clenched around the phone, because I was starting to understand something terrifying. Maybe my daughter was never in the ground. Maybe she was being hidden somewhere. And Evan had been taking my money all these years to keep that secret alive. The next morning, Dana had me meet her at her office. On the table was a fresh stack of printed documents, clipped together like a case file. She didn't waste time. Frank, if Mia is truly dead, everything should line up like a combination lock. This doesn't. She pointed to 3 things, each one landing like a hammer. The death certificate Evan gave you too. It's missing a critical verification code, and the signature of the certifying official doesn't match the one on record. She tapped the page. Could be a modified scan. I'm not concluding yet, but it's enough to raise serious doubt. The funeral home. Dana dialed them on speaker. A staff member answered politely. We do have a service record, but the contract wasn't signed by the grandfather. It was signed by... A chill ran down my spine. My daughter's funeral, and I wasn't the one who signed for it? The most important part. No final medical confirmation chain dollars. Dana had already submitted a formal request for hospital records. The response came back. No treatment records found matching the reported time of death. Dana looked at me, her voice firm. This is no longer suspicion. This is a constructed narrative. Right then, my phone buzzed. A message from Evan. Dad, stop calling around asking questions. Sophie is fine. Just send the money. Dana smirked. He's starting to panic. Because the moment you touch paperwork, you touch the spine of the lie. I took a slow breath and replied calmly, just enough to keep him relaxed. All right. I'll transfer this weekend. Let's meet and talk. I locked the phone and looked at Dana. What's next? She tapped the rental address on the paper. Now, we go see who's living there. Dana didn't let me go alone. She brought in someone else, Rick, a private investigator who specializes in infidelity and fraud. He looked at me and said just one thing: if you want the truth, don't listen to Evan. Watch him. We started with the simplest thing: Evan's routine. Saturday morning, Evan texted me, "I'm taking Sophie to therapy today." But Rick was already parked at the corner. I sat in a car a few blocks away, my heart pounding like I was being hunted. Evan walked out, alone. No Sophie. He drove in circles, deliberately changing routes like a man who knew he might be followed. But Rick wasn't new to this. He kept his distance, even switched cars at a prearranged point. 20 minutes later, Evan pulled into an old apartment complex, the exact address Dana had printed. I held my breath. Evan didn't buzz. He unlocked the door with a key. 5 minutes. Then the door opened. A woman stepped out. Dark-dyed hair, thick-framed glasses, a baseball cap pulled low. If you glanced quickly, you'd think she was just a stranger. But I didn't glance. I had looked at that face for 25 years of my life. My hand tightened on the steering wheel. Dana whispered, "Frank, don't move. Not yet. Frank, not yet. Frank, Frank, not yet." The woman turned slightly. Sunlight revealed a small birthmark near her temple, the same one I used to cover with a bandage when Mia was little. My breathing broke. Rick's camera clicked over and over. Evidence, not emotion. Evan stood close to her, said something, then handed her an envelope. And in that moment, I understood. $30,000 a year wasn't for my granddaughter. It was hush money. Dana looked at me, her voice cold and precise. "Now we know Mia is alive. Next step, we make Evan confess, and we get Sophie out of his hands." Dana grabbed my arm the second I reached for the door. "Frank, don't ruin the evidence. Don't let him turn this into an old man causing trouble." But the moment I saw Evan hand that envelope to the woman, I couldn't hold back anymore. Not because I was reckless, because I was a father. I stepped out of the car, my heart pounding like it was tearing through my chest. Rick moved in behind me, filming from a distance. Dana stayed back, ready to call the police if Evan tried anything. I took a few steps forward. The woman had her back turned, about to walk inside. I called out quiet, but sharp enough to cut through everything. "Mia." She froze, her shoulders locked, like something had just snapped inside her. Evan spun around, his face draining of color like a man caught stealing in broad daylight. "What are you doing here? Are you following me?" he snapped, trying to build a wall out of anger. But I didn't look at him. I only looked at her. Slowly, she turned. The glasses hid half her face. The cap shadowed the rest, but when the sunlight touched her skin, I saw the birthmark on her temple, and I knew. No matter what anyone said, I knew. I stepped closer, my voice breaking. "You're alive." Her lips trembled. And then she said the one word I thought I would never hear again: "Dad." I stood there, frozen. No screaming, no collapse, just my legs going weak, like someone had just handed me back a piece of my soul. Evan rushed in, voice tight. "Don't listen to him. Go inside." Mia stepped back half a step, then looked at me. In her eyes, there wasn't just fear. There was guilt and something else: control. Dana stepped forward, her voice cold. "Evan, you've exposed yourself. From this point on, everything you say can and will be used against you." Rick kept filming. The evidence kept rolling. And I understood something clearly. This was only the moment the truth surfaced. The next step was to drag it fully into the light and take Sophie back. Evan lunged forward like a dog guarding a bone, planting himself between me and Mia. His voice came fast, low, aggressive, trying to force control back into his hands. "Dad, don't cause a scene. Mia isn't well. I'm taking her to treatment. You showing up like this is only making things worse." I looked at him and wanted to hit him. But Dana was right. Violence doesn't beat someone who's running a script. I shifted my gaze to Mia. She was shaking. Her hand gripped the strap of her bag like it was a lifeline. And most importantly, she didn't step toward me. Not because she didn't want to, but because she didn't dare. I spoke softly, just enough for her to hear. Mia, Sophie is waiting for you. Sophie is waiting for you. Do you know what she asked me? Mia blinked. Tears welled up, but she bit her lip, forcing them back like someone used to being punished for weakness. Evan cut in sharply. Don't bring up Sophie. Mia can't see her doctor's orders. Dana let out a dry laugh. Which doctor? Or is that one just in your head? Evan snapped toward her. Who the hell are you to interfere? Dana held up her credentials. I'm the one who's going to take you to court. Rick kept filming. The camera never stopped. Evan was starting to lose control, and that's when liars expose themselves. You don't understand, he snapped. If Mia comes back, everything collapses. The debts, the insurance, the money, everything. The moment I heard money, I understood. This wasn't love. This wasn't protection. This was a scheme. Mia understood too. She looked at Evan like she was seeing him for the first time. Her voice broke into a whisper. You told me my father would hate me, that Sophie would be fine without me. I stepped forward, my voice steady. No, sweetheart, the only person Sophie isn't safe around is him. Dana moved in immediately, decisive. Frank, get Mia out of here. Now. No more arguing. And for the first time in 5 years, I didn't ask why. I did what a father is supposed to do. I took my daughter back, from the man who had turned her into a prisoner. Dana pulled me back, her voice low but razor sharp. Frank, don't grab your daughter and run. Like this is a movie. We need orders and evidence. Without them, Evan will flip the story and turn you into the kidnapper. Mia stood behind me, trembling. He has all my documents. I have nothing, she whispered. Dana nodded. She immediately called a contact in the domestic violence unit, laying it out clean and fast. Signs of control, possible unlawful confinement, identity concealment, and a child involved. Rick sent everything over video. Photos of the envelope. The moment I called Mia. Evidence flowing like a live wire. Dana turned to me. Now you do 2 things. Take Mia somewhere safe, my place. Not your home. Evan will look there first. I'll file for emergency custody of Sophie. And a restraining order. I swallowed. And Evan. Dana smirked. Let him bury himself. She sent a bait message from my phone. Calm and casual. I'll transfer the $30,000 like every year. But this time I want to meet and sign a confirmation of Mia's death for paperwork. Riverside Cafe. 7 p.m. I understood instantly. If Evan showed up and said Mia is dead while she was very much alive, that would be a self-inflicted confession. 3 minutes later, Evan replied, Fine, but don't bring Sophie into this. Dana gave a cold smile. See? He bit. Because he still thinks the money is in his hands. I looked at Mia, my daughter, standing there like someone who had just taken her first real breath in 5 years. And I locked one thought into place. Tonight isn't about fighting. Tonight is about sealing the coffin on Evan's lie, with his own words. 5 minutes to 7. I was already seated at Riverside Cafe. Corner table, phone face up, recording on. Rick was outside in the car, filming through the glass. Dana didn't sit with me. She stayed a few meters away, posing as a customer, keeping everything clean and legal. Evan walked in, tense, but pretending confidence. He scanned the room the way guilty people do, always afraid someone's listening. He sat down. No greeting. Straight to the money. Once you sign, transfer it right away. I need it before the weekend. I stayed calm, sliding a sheet of paper toward him. Just a confirmation so there's no trouble with paperwork. Mia is dead. Right? Evan nodded instantly, too fast, pure reflex. Yeah, Mia died 5 years ago. I kept my face blank, my voice slow and deliberate. Where did she die? Out of town. An accident. You already know that. And why? Does this money go straight into your account, then get withdrawn in cash right after? Evan's face twitched. He almost snapped, but greed pulled him forward. Why are you asking? You said you'd transfer. Sophie needs. I cut him off. Sophie needs the truth, not a man profiting off a funeral. Evan slammed the table. You're setting me up, aren't you? Right then, Dana stepped in, placing her phone on the table. Her voice was ice cold. No. You just confessed. You just stated, Mia is dead. While we have evidence, she is alive. Evan shot to his feet, panic breaking through. Are you people insane? Too late. Rick had it on video. The recorder was running, and the words, Mia died 5 years ago, had just become the rope waiting for him in court. I looked at Evan and said, one sentence. You weren't set up. Your greed dragged you into the light. The moment Evan said the words, Mia died 5 years ago, Dana didn't argue another second. She simply sent one short message to the officer in charge. Confession obtained. 30 minutes later, everything shifted from family drama to a criminal case. Dana had me sign the emergency filings, temporary guardianship for Sophie, a restraining order against Evan, and a witness protection request for Mia, based on clear signs of coercion and unlawful control. While that was happening, social services and police went to Evan's house. Sophie was brought out first. She was holding her backpack, her eyes darting around like she was afraid someone might pull her back inside. When she saw me standing at the end of the hallway, she didn't run into my arms, crying like in a movie. She just let out one long breath, the kind of breath someone takes after finally escaping a room with no doors. Evan was different. He stood in the middle of the living room, still trying to perform. You've got this wrong. This is all a misunderstanding. I'm her father. The officer read it out clearly. You are under investigation for financial fraud, deception, and the concealment and coercive control of an adult. In addition, temporary custody of the child is being transferred under court order. Evan turned to me and shouted, You're destroying my family. I looked him straight in the eye and gave him one answer. Your family died the moment you turned Mia's death into a printing press. And for the first time in 5 years, Sophie walked toward me, without fear. That night, my house stayed lit, until late. Sophie fell asleep on the couch, still clutching her backpack like a shield. Dana had left. The police were gone. But the hardest part was just beginning. Mia sat at the kitchen table, both hands wrapped around a cup of tea like it was the last warm thing in her life. My daughter, no. The woman in front of me looked like she had spent 5 years inside an invisible cage. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. I asked one question. Why did you let this go on for so long? Mia broke. This time, she couldn't hold it in. He told me I caused the accident, said I'd go to prison, said if I came back, you would hate me, and Sophie would be dragged into that hell. He took my documents, my phone, even my trust. It twisted something inside me, but I didn't let emotion turn me into a fool a second time. I spoke slowly, clearly. You, being alive, is the only thing that matters. But from now on, you don't disappear again. No one decides Sophie's life for you, and no one decides your life for Sophie. Mia nodded, tears falling onto her hands. The next morning, Sophie woke up and saw Mia standing in the doorway. She froze. Then she ran forward and held her tight. No long speeches. No drama. Mia dropped to her knees. I'm sorry. I was wrong. Fire. Sophie said just one thing that nearly broke me. I know, just don't disappear again. I turned away, took a breath, and laid down new rules for this family. Sophie stays with me until the court makes a final decision. Mia gets legal support and therapy and sees Sophie on a safe, structured schedule. All contact with Evan goes through lawyers. And most important, no more secrets disguised as for your own good. Because I've learned the most expensive lesson of my life. What destroys a family isn't death. It's a lie that's allowed to live too long. 3 weeks later, we stood in court. No background music, no dramatic lines, just the law and the truth. The one thing Evan hated most. My lawyer submitted everything: the surveillance footage, the Riverside recording, 5 years of bank transfers, and Sophie's statement. The judge didn't need long to see through Evan, because liars always break in the same place: details. And Evan was full of dirty ones. He tried his usual line: "I did all this to protect Sophie." The judge cut him off. "You protect a child by taking $30,000 a year and hiding her mother?" Mia sat behind me, her hands trembling. She wasn't innocent either. She had signed her silence, and that silence had forced Sophie to grow up in fear. Mia broke down when the psychologist testified. "This child has been living like an emotional hostage." When it was my turn, I said just one sentence: "I don't need revenge. I need my granddaughter to be safe, and my daughter to be free." In the end, the court issued temporary orders. Sophie stays with me. Mia gets supervised visitation, along with mandatory therapy. Evan is barred from contact, pending investigation for fraud and deception. When we walked out of the courtroom, Sophie held my hand. Mia stood beside us, eyes red, but this time, she didn't disappear. I looked at them both and settled one truth in my mind. Family isn't what people call each other. It's how honestly they're willing to live with each other. And from that day on, I stopped sending money to a man. I started investing in something that actually matters. A child who finally gets to live like one. I can earn the money back. I can survive a few more scars. But what I can't live with is Sophie growing up not knowing what's real and what isn't. For 6 years, I fed a lie with compassion. And the price of blind compassion was a child's childhood. If you were me, or do you believe some choices, once made, can never be undone?